Some of my biggest successes as a chiropractor are actually women who go on to have cesarean births. What's up with that? Well, in this One Belly Wednesday, I'd like to tell you why you shouldn't go in for a belly birth until you've gotten adjusted. Now, when we start working with our pregnant patients, there's a lot of different ways that births can go. Some moms are looking for what they call a vaginal delivery, and some are mostly looking for some kind of just easy way to have the baby come and they aren't as tied to how that baby comes out. Some moms are actually a at-risk mom who needs to have the delivery kind of controlled, and so their obstetrician has recommended an elective cesarean, and so that's the plan for them. And my job really as a chiropractor is to kind of say nothing about any of that, honestly. I mean, it's about informed choice, right? And if I have patients who are aware of what their options are, and their birth is their decision, then my job is to support that decision. I will tell you that some of my most loyal and advocate patients actually have been what we would consider the repeat cesareans. So the moms who have had prior cesareans may have attempted a vaginal birth after a cesarean, but then went on to end up having that repeat cesarean for a variety of reasons. And what they noticed, what they told me, was always really telling because there is almost like a stigma attached to belly births, and I've been trying really hard to break through that. Some of you may know this. My first son's actually a belly birth. His name's Forrest, and after 47 hours of labor, he just wasn't going to navigate his mom's pelvis, so he was an elective cesarean. And what we learned through that process was that the chiropractic care that we have been banking in these moms' bodies actually does make a difference. It makes a massive difference if you are a mom who has already had a prior birth and then not only just has to take care of a baby, but then has to take care of a toddler and a baby as well. Because your ability to get up and move and all that kind of stuff really relies on your ability to have pelvic floor strength. And what most of these moms have experienced with their first surgical birth or maybe even a vaginal delivery is they've got a lot of weakness there that really what we know is a lack of automatic tone. So the pelvic floor, you can do pelvic floor exercises all day till the cows come home. But if the brain isn't communicating down the pelvic floor, 90% of those muscles are completely involuntary. And so it's one of the biggest reasons why chiropractic exists for pregnancy is that we make sure that we have good communication in the pelvic floor to make sure there's good tone in there. So for those moms, although their belly has now been cut and then the core has been destabilized, there's still a lot of really good stuff that we can do as chiropractors, both leading up to the birth and then postnatally as well, in order to make sure that they're having good communication down there in the pelvis. The second thing that I think is most important is that we set up a conversation inside the nerve system with the immune system that helps to lead to faster recovery times because of faster healing times. So we've talked for a long time about this connection between the nerve system and the immune system. And with the idea that the immune system is leading the healing process, your nerve system actually sets the tone for how that healing process goes. If the nerve system is communicating really clearly with all the different kinds of cells that are supposed to be there helping to remodel tissue, then what ends up happening is that it reduces your recovery rate. You want to know how I know that? Is because most people, if we look at healing time, let's say you just rolled your ankle and you go to a doctor and they tell you it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to heal that. Well, why do you think some people heal at 6 weeks and other people heal at 8? You think that's a decision? No. Some of it has to do with nutrition, some of it has to do with rest, some of it has to do with exercise. There may be some genetic influence in it, but a big portion that we've noticed, and this is why chiropractors are on every single major sports team, regardless of the sport, there's a chiropractor who's on that pro team. The reason for that is because we actually help with recovery. And so when we're looking at having gone through a surgical birth, having gone through a belly birth, wouldn't you want your body to recover as fast as possible? So we set that up, the clear communication between the top parts of the spine and the bottom parts of the spine. What we call the parasympathetic nerve system are the parts of the nerve system that help to guide the healing process. And it's super important that we've been having a good relationship with that part of the nerve system if we're going to guide healing and help make it as efficient as possible. The final piece involved here that I see in my practice with why moms who have belly births are raving about chiropractic is that we help with that. I'm going to use a pyramid analogy again. So you've got the nerve system, and you have the immune system, and then you have the endocrine system, the hormone system, and then the gut, the microbiome. that pyramid, that structure has to be really good. It has to have good stable pieces in all four of those apices in order to have a good stable structure, right? And so if one of those systems isn't working great, we're going to end up with kind of a floppy pyramid there. Well, whenever you go through surgery, there's usually two things that they do. They give you anesthetic, and that anesthesia has a tendency to constipate some of those moms. There's a big correlation between anesthesia and the lack of bowel motility. The second thing that every surgical birth gets is antibiotics. And so if we have this combination of you've got a digestive system that's not running efficiently, and you have all the good natural flora has been wiped out, we need to do something in order to help with that communication, that pyramid right there, because we've now disrupted the natural flora. So what you'll find is that a lot of perinatal chiropractors end up making really good recommendations. They usually make good nutritional recommendations. Some of them include ways to help the body rebuild. I know we talk about that in my office. We do talk about probiotics in my office. We really take that holistic approach to helping those moms with recovery. But also, again, it's your nerve system that has direct lines into your digestive system. So if we are looking at ways that we can help from a salutogenic or health building perspective, if we can make sure that we get really good, that the bowels are moving well and it's not painful and real regular, then it helps to take the inflammation that's natural as part of the healing process and move it out of the body so that she can heal and be as pain-free as possible. Now listen, you've had major abdominal surgery. You're going to be walking around slowly. Most of my moms don't really take a whole lot of pain meds either. That's one of the questions that we ask them is if chiropractic care has reduced your need for medication after birth. And a lot of them say yes. They might take Tylenol afterwards to deal with some of that. They try to stay on top of the pain. But most of my moms aren't walking in on heavy prescription medications, mostly because their body's in pretty decent shape. And so that's where we work with those OBs who are surgeons a lot and helping with their recovery so that all of us are on the same page with what can happen potentially next time, which is another attempt at a vaginal birth after that cesarean. It's all about in that postnatal recovery period, being able to set up the body in case there was something that was misaligned or something that we needed to correct so that next time that we have a better shot at it. So if you are attempting an elective belly birth, or if you have attempted a VBAC and ended up in a repeat cesarean, let me tell you that chiropractic care is absolutely something that you can take advantage of. But I hate hearing moms presuming that because they've already chosen that path for birth, that chiropractic isn't for them. And that's just simply not true. There's lots of ways we can help out. So if this is you, if that's a friend of yours, if you're a healthcare professional and you're watching these videos, and you have questions about the techniques that we use or that kind of thing after a surgical birth, there's lots of safe ways that we address that, and I'd be happy to chat with you. Go ahead and send me a message in the comments or reach out to me, doc@mamaschiropractic.com. Until next